Hello again, this is Irene Ketskidi with jamplay.com. Welcome back to another week of Modes and Melodies. Today we're going to be doing the Phrygian Mode. This is an Eastern sounding mode in essence, so it's got a lot of folk elements, if you like, or a lot of ethnic elements. It's quite characteristic, so I'm sure you will have heard it in one way or another. Let me just play the lick I've prepared, and then we can talk about songs in Phrygian, how to use Phrygian, and just put it in our playing all round. So let's go. Very well, that's what we've got here. This is a more aggressive track, if you like. It's a bit up-tempo. I felt it fits more with the Phrygian mode that we're into today. So before we get into the lick, Phrygian mode, I mean, this is a very, very typical mode in, like I said, ethnic songs or heavy metal a lot of the times. Hence, maybe this lick sounds a bit metal as well. And that's because it's got this flat second degree, which means that if I'm in the key of E, like we are now, and if I've got an E minor for root note, then I've got an F major for the second diatonic chord, if you like. It's coming up like this. It's got a lot of tension here, so. And this is actually the main chord change that you would look for or actually listen for if you want to recognize the Phrygian mode. So if you see that your key of the song is like I said, E for example, and then you've got a semitone up with a major chord, this is the easiest way to recognize the Phrygian mode. As long as, of course, like I said, the first note is your root note, is your key. And this happens in a number of songs. I think in the, let's say, popular music world, the most notable one would be White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, which starts like this. It's not an E, but I can play it in E. It's like... Changes afterwards, but the beginning of the verse is very much this Phrygian mode. And of course there's a lot of notable heavy metal riffs like Wherever I May Roam by Metallica, 46 and 2 by Tool. What else? We've got As I Am by Dream Theater is another Phrygian mode in its verse because it changes somewhat afterwards. Then you've got Smoke on the Water, actually. I mean, the chorus itself is like... Well, I mean, this is... it doesn't stay in Phrygian for the whole track, but it goes for the chorus. And you can also hear the Phrygian mode in Sails of Charon, another Deep Purple song. And yeah, there's a number of those. I mean, I've put a long list for them in the notes so you can check them out and see if you can see what's common between them. Now, yeah, let's just start different way today. Maybe we can start by playing the Phrygian mode, just get down with this position 4 as usual. Listen to it on top of a low E note, and then we can have a look at the lick. So, Phrygian mode, position 4 would be... Let me play once more. Hopefully we can play it together. So I'm going to play in 16th notes. So it's going to be like 2, 3, 4. 4 again. As usual, one of my suggestions will be to practice a lot with the low E note. Try some intervals, try some open strings. Luckily for us, all the open strings are available here because E Phrygian has all the notes as natural notes. You can even come up with your own riffs for this one. Whatever it comes on top of my head, but this chord change, this E to an F, is very powerful, and I'm sure it will help you understand how this mode sounds. Now, apart from that, obviously you can just keep using the backing track, the long version of the backing track, to play on top. You can just play the scale up and down. Look for any notes that sound good to you if you stay on them. I mean, some good notes to stay more would definitely be the B note, very powerful note, and of course the F, whenever we've got the chord change that allows it to happen. But occasionally you might find that staying on that F note will help you resolve back to the root in a way that sounds 100% Phrygian. So yeah, another way to practice for that, just because of the fact that it is relative to C major, that means it's got all the natural notes, and that also means that it shares the same chords. You can experiment. I haven't mentioned this before in practicing the modes, but I think this is a good example to do it. We can use the triads, the little triads that you can find on the high notes of the fretboard, so the high strings actually. So like if we're in E Phrygian, we've got C major, we've got D minor, we've got E minor as well, F major, and then we've got G major as well, A minor, and then we've got B diminished triad. And why am I playing the low E note on top? Just to remind us that we're in E Phrygian. So that means that if you want, you can work with your arpeggios on those triads and incorporate them, always remembering that we're in the key of E. So perhaps I can go, or just another way to see some chord changes on the fretboard, but without having to think about the long chords. Just focus on the 3 high strings and use those triads to hear how each other resolves if we're in the key of E Phrygian. I hope this helps. You can definitely ask me some questions on that if you want. I'm going to be answering them at the end of the lesson anyway. So why don't we move on to our lick? This is a bit a bit of a longer lick this time, but again, it's a faster tempo, so it shouldn't be that much different to the others. Now we've got 135 for the tempo, and the chords behind it, if you think about the bass, would be E minor, which is our root. Oops. It's like an E minor to an F and back to an E minor. Then we go to an F and we stay there for a bit longer. D minor. So essentially it's more or less like it just stays on the, it stays a lot on the E, but we've got those very, very important chords that you want to note down, the F major and the D minor, that make it sound Phrygian. Again, these come from the mode, they're diatonic chords, and they include the note F, both of them, D minor and F major. So make a note of that in your head if you like, because this is the most important note in the Phrygian, the flat second, because that's what makes it different from the minor scale that we've been dealing with. Everything else is the same. They've got exactly the same notes except for one. So if we were in minor, by the way, it would sound. But in Phrygian, it's only one note different, but it's a huge, it's a huge shift in the sound. Right, so let's move to bar 1 of the lick. This is going to be B string, and I'm going for frets 10 and 12, approaching this B note here. And the same thing, I'm going down a string to the E note, our root on the G string, and again hitting the B. I'm just kind of going around it, so. And I've got a vibrato here going on. It's a bit wide, I would say, based on what I'm hearing on the backing track. I feel like doing a wider vibrato here. So, hammer on. Everything else is picked, and we've got a bit of a long note here going on. Before I bend it up, a semitone. So I'm kind of revolving around the same notes. I'm going again for 10 to 12 fret on the B, so A to a B, and I'm bending that B a semitone to C. Returning it, pulling off to the A again, and then hitting it again before ending on the root. So these are the first 2 bars. Well, actually, these are the first 3 bars. So let me play those together slow. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, 3, 4. I think this is a fairly simple riff, like an opening, not riff, but like an opening melody for our lick. And then it goes on to something else on bar 4, where the double stops begin. It's an important part here because also you can visualize those triads that I mentioned before. So if you look at bar 4, beat will to end, if you like. That's where the change happens because we're staying for quite a long time in this E note. If you look at 2 end onwards, it goes to these 2 double stops. Frets 10 on G and B strings, frets 12 on G and B strings, and these form the F and G major triads that I mentioned before. So this is what I'm going for. I'm going for this triad motion in order to get into something else. And then I've got a bend. So let me just finish bar 4. It goes well, it kind of comes in from bar 3, but let's do bar 4 by itself. So it's going to be 3, 4. A bit better. 3, 4. Yeah, in this speed, because I did it really slow, that's what it is in this speed. So one more time, 3, 4. Got this 14th fret on the G string at the end of bar 4 because it's going for my next phrase, which has a lot of bends. But I think I'll just put bars 1 to 4 together now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it a little bit faster because it feels like it's losing the groove now. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, 3, 4. You can use picking fingers or just pick for these double stops. Sometimes I find myself using fingers. So one more time for this, a little bit faster. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that there is a slide between those two double stops, so whatever finger you use on the left hand, just make sure you're able to do the slide. I just use my first finger because it's the same fret. But you can use, I don't know, second and third and slide up. Right, let's move on to bar 5 now. I've got a long phrase of bends here and I've tried to make them sound as adventurous as possible. Just because we're in Phrygian, I want it to sound very tense and rough. So I'm on the 14th fret and I'm going to bend up a whole tone. And I'm going to just repeat the same note on the B string below 2 frets down. So I've got a bend on the 14th. This is an A to a B on the G string. And then I'm repeating the same note B on the B string, 12th fret. I'm holding that bend because I'm going to pick it again. You could let those two ring or not. I think it kind of sounds better if you let them ring, so it's kind of fast forwarded through the phrase here. What I want to show is that the bends we're going for are all diatonic in the scale. So I'm doing 14 to 16, then I'm doing 16 to 17, because that's a semitone. Then I'm doing 17 to 19, another tone, and then I'm going for the 19 to 21, which is a whole tone again. So these are all notes of the E Phrygian. If you notice, we're going A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. And I'm also repeating the same notes on the B string. So like I did before. Now this is 3 frets down because I'm going B to C. So 16 to 17 on the B string, on the G string, I'm sorry. And then that's the same note as 13th fret on the B string. So if I keep going, I've got 17th fret, a whole tone up, 15th fret below on the B string for the same note, and then I've got the 19th fret. I'm not going to use the same note like the unison type of bend for this. It's kind of my It's approaching my exit, so I'll just repeat the bends again. This is my exit note. So let's work with the timing a little bit. You want to work with these bends, by the way, as if you would naturally do with a unison bend, maybe. So if you want to make sure they sound 100% correct, just make sure you play them together before you go and do this here, because it's got a few slides as well, so I'm not picking all those bends. So what happens? I'm starting from the 14th fret that I was left at on bar 4, and I'm going. So I'm on the G string, really I'm sliding to the next bend each time, and after I play the same note on the B string, then I'm coming back on the G string to pick it. So let me show it again. So it's going to be starting straight from the 5th fret. So see? So pick, slide on the same string and bend as required. So this is a semitone bend. So it's like, if I just don't do all the others, it would be similar to this. Maybe actually this helps. You can just work with those bends by playing them in one pick, because that's more or less what's happening on this string. Again, so you can work like that. Again. Let's time it somehow. So let me count it from bar 4. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on, I think I'm playing an extra note actually. Let me fix this, because on bar 6 for the 17th fret on the G, we're not repeating the high note another time either. So let's do it again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do it, actually let me talk about that last exit note. This is going to be the 16th fret on the G string, and it's again a B note. Remember what I talked about, we're kind of coming around this B note a lot of the times here, because it feels like a very powerful note to rest on. Now I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect bar 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, which is our kind of outro here for that leg. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll do it again. I'm playing from bar 4 onwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, actually it was right all along. Yeah, that 17th fret bend does have the note, the unison note that we talked about. So let's do it one last time. I think, why don't I do it from the beginning? Actually, maybe I should just talk about the lick and bar 8 and then do it from the beginning. So yeah, let me do it one last time from bar 4 to bar 7. So a little bit faster, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's talk about that lick here. It's kind of a fast run, but it's very symmetric, so you'll find it's already in an easy shape for you to play. So if you go to bar 8, we've got these 16th notes going like. This is in position, if you think about it, it's in position 2 of Phrygian. Just let me, yeah, fix that D string. And I'm starting from the high E string, I'm starting from the 17th fret, back with a pull off to the 13th. And I'm going to the B string, again 17th fret, up to the 13th fret in the high E, so then I'm repeating that same shape, this pull off from the 17th to the 13th on the B string as well. So it's like playing it another time. So these are the first 2 beats of bar 8, and they're like. And last time, 3, 4. Next 2 beats, what do we have? We're going to the G string for the 16th fret, B note, then back up to the B string for the 13th fret, again 16th fret on the G, pull off to the 14th fret on the G. So this is beat 3 of bar 8, and it goes and last time. Fingers are probably going to be like I'm showing 3 and 1 on the B string, because you're coming, remember, from a longer, well, a stretchier pull off. So you don't need to reposition your fingers. Just go with the 3 here on the G string. And then, so I'm kind of descending the E Phrygian here, and it's going to be same frets on the G string, 16 pull up to 14. Then I'm going to the D string, 15 to 14. Again, an F to an E. And all together would be and you might need to work with this with the metronome a little bit, but like I said, it's very symmetric, it's got a lot of pull-offs, and it shouldn't be too hard in this tempo. 16th notes at 135 BPM. Now, I want to put the whole thing together, so bars 1 to 8 so far. And let's go ahead and do that. I think I'll do it with a click. It will be safer to do so. So we can try, let's see. I think we can try a 90. Maybe let's just do 80 for now. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try 100, maybe 90 and then 100, and then obviously you can keep going like that when you practice it by yourself. Hopefully any rhythmic doubt that we had before should be resolved by now. Let's go at 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I should have added that before. Don't know why I didn't. Let's try 100. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do it at 110. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can keep going up until 135. I would actually love to keep us going, but I think I want to talk a little bit more about the rest of the solo, so I don't want to waste too much time. But yeah, this is the way to go with it, you know, just increase the tempo and try to feel a groove of the lick. You know, sometimes when you do many repetitions, not everything is going to sound great, but it is a good idea to practice with a metronome and not with a backing track, because sometimes you might get away with a backing track. Like I can tell all the a little bit wrong notes when I play by myself easier, I think, because it just kind of feels so empty without a backing track that I'm like, okay, I need to produce the correct notes for everything. And some of the, you know, sometimes maybe the bends need a little bit of an improvement and all that stuff. So listen out for those. Now, second part of the lick. This is bar 9, and it's a similar rhythm to what started off the lick in the first place. So it goes. And this is with double stops again, so I'm kind of starting the lick where I finished with. So this is like a power chord. This is like an E power chord if you look at it. But I'm on string D and G, and I'm playing with my first finger on the 14th frets before hammering on to the 16th on the G string to spell out that E power chord. So, and I'm vibrating both strings, so I've got A to a B and then E to a B again. So like, this is what is happening essentially. But instead of playing it with single notes, I'm just adding this double stop before. And then I can vibrate both strings. Like that. Then I'm going for the same type of idea. I've got my first finger again on frets 10, D and G strings again. And I'm going for this kind of staccato line. If you look at it, it's not like it feels more natural with this I don't know, with this kind of tension I'm trying to give with the Phrygian. Like I said, I don't want it to be too legato, because that makes it very nice, it feels. So this one makes it more rough. I can hear all those notes, all those intervals in a more, I don't know, obvious way. It's up to you, of course, but yeah, this is how I do it. It's all downstrokes. I've got frets 10 again, D and G strings. Now I'm not hammering on, I'm picking again the new interval, which is again like a C power chord. It is a C power chord. and this is like, well, an interval of a C to an A, so like an interval of a sixth. Basically, the first finger stays in the same place. I'm just adding notes. I am hammering on now here, though, so from the 12th fret to the 14th with my fourth finger, and going back to that C power chord. My exit is that E note, the root note again. I'm approaching it the same way as if I was playing like an A power chord. But I'm not gonna let that A note ring out too much because it might sound a bit odd with a backing track if you check it out. So just approach the E, then stay on the, you know, simple E. So the whole thing goes like, and these are bars 9, 10, and 11, beginning of 11, before we go for the long legato lick. So let me play that again. It's going to be from bar 9 to 11, beginning of 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Try to phrase it with the vibratos, don't forget those. One more time, 3, 4. Now, where am I going? I'm at bar 11, and this is the last beat of bar 11. I'm going again for kind of symmetric sequence in Phrygian. It's like little ascending parts of the scale, but I'm using again this trick I like when I'm letting some notes ring at the end, and this makes them sound more like, I don't know, like little chords. So I'll show you what I mean. I mean, if I play from bar 11, last beat, and I play bar 12 as well, if I play the single notes, it would be. These are all the notes. But what I'm doing, I'm using legato. And letting some of the notes ring together to just give this illusion of, I don't know, it's like, as if there's another person playing with me at that moment, just as an accent. It's a very weird way to explain it, but I hope you get what I mean. So yeah, I'll talk about the frets now. I'm gonna go at fret 13, 15, 17 on the B string. I'll play those with legato. And then I'm gonna go to the 13th fret on the high E string, and I'm gonna let it ring and repeat the last note I played on the B string, which was fret 17. So this is my ring out here. And that's an interval of a second. We talked about those last time, so maybe you remember that sound. You can use the pick or a finger here. I think I used the pick for this leg because it felt a little more aggressive, so. I'm gonna do the same thing, one note down on the scale. So I'm gonna go to the 12th fret. I've got 12, 13, 15 now on the B string. And my high note is gonna be on the 12th fret again of the high E string. I'm ringing it out with the 15th fret on the B string now. I'm gonna go down another note, and I'm gonna go to the 10th fret of the B string. So I've got 10, 12, 13 now. It's the same idea, you know, some notes are the same, of course, because we're just descending. So I've got a bit of a longer run here because I need to fill up some notes before I go to my next exit note. And this is gonna be, like I said, 10, 12, 13 on the B, 10 on the high E, and going back or down, if you like. So this is where I'm gonna go and slide up. I'm gonna get ready to slide, but let me show these all together. So it's like 1, 2, 3. I played from bar 11, beat 4, and then I played throughout to bar 12. I'll do the same again. So 1, 2, 3. Two, 3. 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I'm coming in on the 4. So 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm finishing this run and getting ready to play this next exit note. I'll play it a little bit faster this so you can feel how it comes in. I'll actually play from bar 9, bars 9 to 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 3, 4. Well, that was a lot faster actually. So let's find a medium tempo for this. I'll use the click. Let's say 90, maybe, yeah, say 90. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, sometimes it feels very, very strange to play those very slow. You might find that yourself, because it feels like a totally different lick. So, yeah, I did mean to play that slower. So metronome is always useful here, because the other one, it almost felt like I was playing at halftime. So yeah, let's move on. We've got bar 13. This is kind of towards the end of the lick. So now what do we have here? It's a semitone bend again. The important thing here is that it's coming with a slide. So it was coming from without picking it. You can pick it if you want, but it sounds cooler if you slide up to it. So this is fret 17 on the B string, and I'm bending it up a semitone. I'm using a vibrato here, so. And I'm using a repetitive rhythm here just to go down and give some more tension. So what do I have? I've got frets 15 and 17 on the B string, and then 17 on the G string. So this is the rhythm. I'm kind of displacing it. Then I'm going to frets 12 and 13 on the B string and fret 14 on the G string. Vibrato again. Same rhythm again on frets 10 and 12 on the B string and 12 on the G string. So these are the notes. You can try the fingerings first. So I'm using 1, 3, 2 for fingers, just to get there fast and play with the vibrato, and then 1, 2, 4. This is easy. 1, 2, 3 actually. And then same thing like I did before. 1, 3, 2 fingers. So I'll play it slow. And with the original note, it's going to be 3, 4. Let's do it one more time. 3, 4. Three, 4. That's bars 13 and 14. Then essentially is the outro of my lick. If I keep going on bar 15, I've stopped here on this note with the second finger. So this is bar 12 of the G string, second finger. I'm going to use this to slide on to my next double stop. Now again, it's useful if you think of it as a triad here. So what is that? This is again, I suppose you could assume it's like a G major triad to an F major triad. Or you could think of it as, well, probably that's the best way to think about it, like a G to an F triad again. This is a different inversion, but remember what we did before. It was F to G, now it's a G to an F. So I'm using fingers 2 and 1, both of those, and I'm starting on fret 16 on the G string and 15 on the B string. Moving it down a whole tone, both fingers, so it's going to be 14 and 13. And I'm sliding up to the same interval I started with for the ending. Let me put this into rhythm, so I'm just going to start playing from bar 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's going to sound better if I play from bar 13, because that first note I'm picking is not really picked. It's just letting it ring from bar 14. So let me try from play the same thing from bar 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this feels better. You can totally understand where it's coming from. Let's do the same thing a little faster. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So essentially, I'm not really sliding to express, to use it as an expression here. I'm just using the fact that I'm already with the second finger on the same string that I'm going to play the double stop with. So I don't want to pick up my finger and waste time, also create a gap. I just want to be seamless with that. And I'm going. So I'm not picking it or anything, I'm just kind of transcending to the next place. Now, I think a good idea would be to play, let's see, play the whole thing maybe. I'll just play the whole thing with a metronome, and then I can play it with a backing track once more. And obviously you can prepare your questions on anything about Phrygian or about the lick, or, you know, what we've talked about so far. Right, I'm just gonna go and play everything at 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do a jump here. I'll play it at 110, and then I'll just go and play it once more with a backing track. So I'm kind of, I mean, this is not what you want to be doing yourself. You don't want to go up 20 BPM like that. I'll just do it as a fast forward to what you would be practicing. So from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do it one last time with the backing track. Right, that's what we've got. So good luck with that, and you might need to practice a little bit more in some of the fast runs. But yeah, focus on your phrasing. You want to check out all those vibrato notes, don't forget those. And obviously you can slow down the track if you want to. I mean, I know there's a number of apps you can do that. If you feel like you really want to practice with the backing track, because obviously it sounds better. But yeah, although, like I said, all the work we did pays off when you go to the backing track, because you can phrase better and you have more power. So if you can get this phrasing to come from your hands even without the backing track, then when you jump onto it, it sounds amazing and you can do more stuff. You will surprise yourself. So this has been the Phrygian Mode. I hope you enjoyed it. It's something that will be related to what we're going to do next week, which is Phrygian Dominant. We'll talk about the differences then, and I'm looking forward to your questions in Phrygian so far. I'll see you in a few minutes to answer those, and then I'll see you again next week. Thanks again for watching and tuning in. Take care. This was Irene Ketikidi with jamplay.com. Hi again, thank you for watching the Phrygian Mode this week. I hope you had a good time. It was an interesting one, more rough sounding like I said, and it was a more shreddy lick, if you like. It was a bit more technical. So yeah, let's check out your questions for this week, starting with question number 1. I'm struggling with my picking hand. Is there an exercise I can do to improve? Yeah, well, actually lots of exercises, so it depends on what level you are, but I think there's the typical, exercises where you would go in a 3-note per string scale. Perhaps you could do those type of sequences which are quite, well, not very musical, but it helps to set the hand in a good position. Or you could even do easy things like, because you might not be referring to alternate picking, maybe you're referring to just picking notes. Another good thing you could do is go with chords and just do arpeggiating with alternate picking, like. This also forces the hand to kind of stay in one position. I mean, picking is something that you would need to have your wrist down for. You don't want to have it on the air, at least not for traditional picking, because everything else would be strumming or funk picking, which I've mentioned a few times, and it's a different thing. But yeah, to build accuracy with picking, just try to combine different strings, and there's a ton of exercises, especially for alternate picking, But if you want to be more musical, just use the chord like I showed with arpeggios, or maybe even just any interval, like because what I did is just pick a shape and just randomly mix some notes together and see how your right hand responds. You don't have to worry about being musical, just test what happens. Are you able to pick with your right hand whatever your left hand is thinking? And a more extreme one would be maybe use, string skipping. Keeping this as a low pedal note and just trying to pick in different areas. You can look at your right hand in the beginning. I mean, I'm not looking because I'm kind of used to the distances of the strings, but this will help you, make it a little more extreme just to get your way around the right hand. So I hope this helps. What is the main genre guitar is used for in Greece? Wow, that is an excellent question, actually. I would say the guitar has a very rhythmic role in Greek music, because traditional Greek music doesn't feature a lot of guitar. Perhaps it would feature some, acoustic or like strum patterns like... would be something like that. It would be more in the rhythm area. But if we're talking about modern Greek music, yeah, there is some Greek pop where you have like similar to rock parts, you would say, like heavy chords and all that stuff. But yeah, the traditional, the folk Greek music doesn't really have much electric guitar, at least. Electric guitar is really not a Greek instrument, as you very well know. The music on the electric guitar, in my mind at least, it's a British and American genre. So yeah, but we do use it. All the gigs would have an electric guitar nowadays to keep the groove going. Although you wouldn't really hear it in the mix a lot, so that's a shame. It's not a prominent, because even all the solos, they would be in a bouzouki maybe, or in another like a lira, different folk instruments that we would have here. So yeah, how often do you use this mode in your own playing? Not very often. What I do is what we're going to do in one of the next upcoming weeks. I would use it with the minor mode together, the minor scale or Aeolian mode. So it's nice to put it in for a change if I want to create some tension. And I have in fact written a song which has a lot of Phrygian, not 100% Phrygian, but quite a lot of it, and Phrygian Dominant, which we'll have a look at next week. It's called In the Machine, and it's from my first album, Martial Arts and Magic Tricks. The whole verse has a melody in minor and Phrygian together. And there's a cool riff towards the end, which is in Phrygian Dominant. So yeah, I do use it, but maybe not my number one mode for composing. So yeah. Do you ever take long breaks from guitar, or do you play every day? Great question. I do take some breaks from guitar. If I'm on holiday in the summer, or maybe if I go visit my parents, I might not get a guitar with me. Although I do have another guitar back home anyway. I don't want to say I play every day, because that's not true, but I play most days. So it would be something like, 6 days out of 7 in a week. But when I say play, it doesn't mean that I necessarily practice. I might be working in a song, or I might be working on some guitar exercises, or I might be teaching, and we're not doing gigs anymore due to the whole craziness, but it could be rehearsals, or going to a gig, or teaching, or jamming with a student even, so this all includes playing in my opinion, but if you mean practicing, I don't practice every day. I practice as much as I can, but I don't have time unfortunately nowadays to practice every day. I used to do that though when I was a music student. Could you demonstrate how to phrase over blue bossa? Wow. Not on top of my head, my friend. I'm not gonna lie to you, because all those tunes I would need to have a chart in front of me and then potentially do some phrasing, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert on that. If you want to just use some general tips, I would say use the chord tones, because I think this is more a kind of jazz phrasing question, I would say, or maybe jazz blues. It's not 100% jazz blue bossa, but yeah, you would have to ask a jazz expert for that. What I can tell you is that you want to hit the chord tones 3rd and 7th as much as you can on the chord changes. So like for example, if I have 2 chords, right, if I have E minor, just roughly, and then I have the A major, if I want to mark that change in my playing, I can very well hit the 3rd in both chords. So sorry, we're in minor, so I wish I could do it, yeah. As much as I can play both. So this is a rough example. Now, next question. How can we get better at the hammer-on across 5 frets? 13, 15, 17, and this. Right. So I think maybe you mean, what, this one? Well, well, that was my single coil, so you probably need a humbucker for the beginning. Before you can do that with a single coil. I would say start from, there's lots of exercises for legato. All that type of rolling that you can use to get better at it. But essentially what I would definitely recommend is keep your ear out and make sure your pull-ups are accurate in a way that the finger is not just lifting up, but it's actually scratching off the string, if I can say it like that, and that this happens at all times. And this is something you can hear even without the amp. Whereas if I just lift my finger and go, it goes like totally different. This is what you want to hear. So your first finger keeps the string steady because you don't want to bend it, like, unless you're trying to create an effect there. And be a bit fierce with your pull-off finger, whatever that is. So that means pulling off right under the string and then away. And obviously just keep doing that. Practice the usual thing. You take the metronome, you put it at comfortable speed. Say you want to play triplets, for example. You keep doing that for a minute, and then you increase the tempo by 4, let's say. Do the same. You keep going for 15 minutes, and you'll totally see a difference. If you play the same thing, constant repetitions for some time, you will feel your muscles working and your fingers working better. But I think I understand what you mean, perhaps because the high frets are a little bit, especially if the strings are thin, you might be feeling like it's a bit harder to pull off and hammer on. But if you start from low on the fretboard and you go high, you will adjust. So I would suggest, try from lower in the fretboard, keep going up, and just try to make those pull-ups very apparent, like really scratching off the string. I think this is the only word I can think of to describe that feeling in order to make it sound almost as if you picked it, because obviously you don't want it to sound as if you picked it. It's a different feel. And use a little bit more gain, you know, in the beginning. I mean, if you play this with a very clean tone, it's easy to not get a good sound. I mean, it happens, but it just doesn't give us as much power as we want. So this would require some gain. And I'm not talking about distortion, it might just be gain. Some just a bit more compression maybe. You can use compression if you definitely want to play this super clean, but I wouldn't recommend using a super clean tone for a legato. I think it sounds a bit weak. So yeah, 3 things. Pull off, make sure the pull-offs are, you know, strong. Start repetitions, the same thing from lower on the guitar neck, and use a bit more gain to help you in the beginning. Yeah, I think that would help. So yeah, excellent questions. Thank you very much for asking and for watching the lesson. I'll see you next week. I don't see any other questions. Yep, so I'll see you next week with Phrygian Dominant, which is a variation of Phrygian. So if you like this, I think you like Phrygian Dominant even more. So cheers, this was Irene Katskiri with jamplay.com as usual. I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.